Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is your boy David Ramos, uh, and this is my beautiful wife.
And I'm Whitney, and we're only using one mic
They
because what happened to the other mic, babe?
didn't get charged.
And whose fault is that?
Nobody, because we don't assign blame here,
Exactly.
and love don't keep no records of wrong. But hopefully, this is honestly one of the very few times you're gonna see us with this mic anymore, since we are upgrading soon, right, babe?
Yes, we are upgrading.
But that's not what this video is about. This video is about God, and specifically Hebrews chapter 11, right?
Yes.
Hebrews chapter 11. So, should we read it out loud?
No, grab your Bible and read it while we talk about it, because that's a long chapter right there, and we have
But
some thoughts.
before we go into the commentary of whoever you found, um, we're just gonna kind of quote the last part because the last part is kind of so the whole book essentially is talking about all the you explain it. Okay, the whole not the whole book, but the whole chapter is essentially explaining about all the great people, especially in the Old Testament, name dropping a lot of legends in faith, like what Isaac did, what Abraham did, what a ton of people did overall in faith, and he just name dropping these people, and then at the very end, it's so interesting because he's like, Isaac did this, Abraham did this, Joseph did this, so and so did this. And at the end, let me quote the verse real quick so that way I get the right one. So, and all these, it's Hebrews chapter 11, verse 39. This is the ESV, English Standard Version. And all these, okay, let me just go a little bit further because all these he's talking about everyone that's mentioned, right? So, let's see. And all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised. And then verse 40 goes on to say, since God had provided us with something better for us, and that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. Now, I'm actually read that one more time. And all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised. Me and Whitney were reading that. And I was just like, we were just like, now obviously you should read Hebrews overall because it's more context, obviously, when you read it all together. But yeah, what is your initial thoughts when you read that?
Okay, so me and God have always, through my journey with God, this is probably one of the biggest lessons He's taught me. The lesson is, um, are you going to go by what you see, or are you going to go by what I've said? And I found that a lot of times in my life, especially when I branched off into like really having a relationship with God, I found that God is really asking me or seeing if I'm going to have the faith to rely on what he said rather than what's going on in front of me. Because what's going on in front of me could look different than what I felt God has been saying to me. So it's like, it's literally the definition of faith. Am I going to have faith in something I do not see? Um, but I feel like in this chapter, it just jumped up and it just jumped up another level for me because when you reach that part, it talks about all these people that had faith. But then when you realize most of these people had faith but didn't see or get to see the promise.
The promised land specifically too.
The promised land specifically, yeah, from when it was talking about Moses. But knowing that most of them had faith and kept that faith and didn't like I'm trying to figure out like
I think
how that interaction was when God told them, hey, like when God brought Moses to see the promised land, but was like, yeah, look at this luscious land flowing with milk and honey. You're not going in though.
I think that kind of speaks to like a different level of humility than what we kind of see or understand that cannot be further exemplified unless we go to like David and Solomon.
Mm.
because like think about it. We serve God, but we watched the movie Wish yesterday, right? You know why the kingdom was that bad, and I think they should have kind of expounded on this a little bit, but obviously the Disney movie, so I was like, okay, it's kind of it. But when you have a culture to where you have someone that can grant all your wishes, they're gonna see you as a wish granter. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna see you as someone who just grants wishes. Nobody wants a relationship with him. Nobody even knows really anything about him because they don't even ask. He doesn't know anything about his people, but what wishes they want. You know what I'm saying? And even though it's the most pure desire of your heart, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? That's who you are. Your dreams are a reflection of who you are. At the same time, though, I think in this verse, it's a pure example of humility because God is saying, like, do you want me because of what I've said to you? Do you want the promise or do you want me?
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like David and Solomon shows that perfectly because David never saw the temple to be built, but he built the foundations. Like he
Hmm.
built the beginning. I feel like with what God is doing in our lives and for a lot of people's lives, if they want to truly be great or truly be successful, we gotta realize that we are not going to see our dreams or God's promise come on with our own eyes. We have to see it by faith because David did not see the temple. He saw it by faith. Even when he died, he did not see the temple. He saw it by faith. Abraham did not see many nations upon nations upon nations upon nations,
Your generations.
generations. He saw it by faith. Moses never saw the promised land, but he saw it by faith.
Actually, Moses actually saw it.
Again, it's theology. Anyways, my point has been disproved. I just feel like in these things, I really do. I hope you got my point. I'm should cut that out, right, babe?
No, no, let's not cut it out. You.
But nah, I think is exactly that. I think that's true humility when you know without a shadow of a doubt that you will probably never see this with your own eyes, but you still work day and night for it. Like I think the verses before, it talks about others suffered mocking, flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned and they were sawn in two. They were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated. Like these are people. Like that's insane. And I think like real faith is being like these are people who are doing this, but they do not see the pain. All they see is a temple being built. All they see is God's finished product. All they see is heaven. I think that's a different level of faith now that I've had some time to kind of sit in this.
I think it also goes to show who's your focus on. I think and how you act in your problems will be a reflection of who you look to or what you believe in. I truly believe that like even me like earlier in my relationship with God, I just found that, you know, when I was worried or when something would come my way and I'd get shaken and stuff, I wouldn't look to God. I'd be acting all panicked. When you know your God, like the way I know him now, I don't know him to just be my God, but my Father in heaven. That's the man of war. That's the God who's gonna have my back. Now, when I get into situations, I'm usually the first thing I'm doing is crying out for him. And it just goes to show like who am I relying on? That's my before my husband, that's the person I have to rely on. That's the person that I know is going to make everything all right. I might not understand things at the time and I might question him, but at the same time I know that God is going to have my back. So I feel like if I want to know who you're relying on or who your faith is in, if a problem comes your way, we're going to find out soon enough.
Mhm.
If a problem, I we say it all the time at church, especially in our dance ministry practice. Your public life will reflect what you've been doing in your private.
Mm.
So if you haven't been spending time with God and you haven't developed that trust that you haven't with Him, it's gonna show publicly. Just wait, it's gonna show publicly because not everything can stay hidden in the dark. Everything's gonna come to the light.
But yeah, we meant to keep this short. We got a
Yeah.
little bit more words. But we're gonna keep this on Hebrews 11. I think we're just gonna close out and kind of a little bit for the future. The main goal of this is not only to post, I guess, um, content, I guess per se. This is like one of the things that's honestly as much for you guys, if not for us. This is also public accountability, right, babe?
Accountability. Yes.
Public accountability. As y'all know, this beautiful wife right here, my beautiful wife, has a lot on her plate, but at the end of the day, there's no but. There is only God. He comes first, and spending time with Him comes first. So this is kind of like some unfiltered, like this is our, I guess, quote unquote, like we read the Bible and we prayed already.
You're basically in our devotional time.
Yes. And we are not only just recording this for your sakes, but also our sakes. Because if we go a day where there's not a video posted from today, what does that mean, babe?
I want to say we haven't been reading it. Maybe we just didn't have the chance to
No,
upload
it
it.
does mean
Maybe
that.
we didn't have the chance to upload it. That's all.
No. Okay, yeah. Sometimes, and we'll be clear about that in the description. But no. What does it mainly mean, though, babe? If we haven't recorded anything,
I like to give myself grace. So I'm going to say
grace for
we're
what?
trying to be consistent.
Grace for what? You haven't even said how you messed up yet.
We didn't mess up, but just because we missed one upload doesn't mean we messed up royally.
Royally. Appreciate y'all for watching. Love you guys. And we're going to try to do these daily. Not try. We're going to be with God daily. And we're going to record it daily.
Yep.
So that means
So
y'all should be seeing these.
daily.
Love y'all.